In the next 20 minutes, you can turn a crowded desktop and downloads folder into a file system you can actually maintain. I will show you 5 permanent homes, one filing question that chooses between them, and a timed reset that stops before organization becomes an all-day project. Then we will take 14 realistic loose files and place every one of them, including the uncertain files you should not delete under pressure. This works on Mac, Windows, or a cloud drive because it does not depend on a particular app. The goal is simple. Find a file again without remembering exactly where you happen to save it. The usual system starts with file types. PDFs over here, images over there, spreadsheets somewhere else. That looks tidy, but it separates files that belong to the same outcome. A flight plan, hotel receipt, and travel spreadsheet may be 3 file types, yet they all support the same trip. If you split them, retrieval becomes a scavenger hunt. The opposite mistake is a huge tree of categories created for every possible future file. That system makes each save a classification exam. We need a shallow structure based on what the file supports now. Purpose chooses the home. File type can still become a subfolder later, but it should not control the top level. Create one root folder and place 5 homes inside it. 00 inbox holds temporary uncertainty. 10 active holds outcomes with an endpoint, such as a trip, application, client delivery, or home move. 20 areas holds responsibilities that continue, such as home, finance, or recurring work. 30 library holds useful reference with no current action, manuals, research, inspiration, and reusable assets. 90 archive holds inactive work that is still worth keeping. The numbers keep the order stable across operating systems. More importantly, the 5 homes describe different states. A project can begin in active, finish, and move intact to archive. The structure changes less often than the work inside it. Now set a 20-minute timer. The first 5 minutes are setup. Choose one route and copy the 5 homes. Minutes 5 through 10 are containment. Move loose personal files from your desktop and useful files from downloads into inbox/to file. Leave system shortcuts and anything you do not recognize alone. Minutes 10 through 15 are for obvious decisions only. Minutes 15 through 18 are for naming a few high-value files. The last 2 minutes park uncertainty in inbox/to review. Then stop. The hard stop is part of the design. A reset you can repeat beats a heroic cleanup you avoid for another year. Containment changes the problem. 100 files scattered across 2 noisy locations feel like 100 decisions. The same 100 files inside one inbox become a bounded queue. Do not begin by opening every document. Move the obvious personal material first. Skip anything created by the operating system, an application, or a process you do not understand. Do not delete installers, archives, duplicates, or strange files during this sprint. Deletion is a separate decision with different risk. Our reset creates visibility without pretending uncertainty has disappeared. The to review folder is not failure. It is a deliberate safety valve that lets the useful system exist before every old file has been understood. Take one file and ask, does this support a current outcome with an endpoint? If yes, it goes to active. If not, ask whether it belongs to an ongoing responsibility. If yes, it goes to areas. If not, ask whether it is useful reference with no current action. If yes, it goes to library. If the work is finished but worth keeping, it goes to archive. Still unsure? Send it to review. Notice what is missing. No debate between documents, personal, miscellaneous, and important. Each question changes the state. The flow gives you a defensible answer in seconds, and the review path prevents a difficult file from blocking the rest. Active and areas are easy to confuse, so use a finish line test. Plan the Japan trip can end, so it is an active project. Maintain household finances continues, so it is an area. A monthly budget template belongs in the finance area. This month's mortgage refinance application belongs in active until the application ends. This difference makes archiving painless. When a project finishes, move the whole project folder to archive with its inputs, working files, and deliverables still together. An area stays in place and receives the next cycle of material. If you cannot imagine a finish line, you probably have an area. If you can name the outcome and know when it is done, you probably have a project. Folders narrow the search space. Names finish the job. Use a date only when the date helps retrieval, then write the subject, a useful detail, and a 2-digit version while the file is changing. A weak name like scan0004 tells you nothing. A useful name like 2026-07-30, renter inspection, kitchen, tells search exactly what happened. Passport renewal checklist does not need a date because the stable subject matters more. And replace final, final 2, actually final with version 01, 02, and 03. Do not rename hundreds of old files. Rename only documents you expect to search, compare, share, or preserve. Let us file a realistic batch. Flight options and a hotel booking support a current trip, so they move together into active/Japan trip. Resume draft 3 supports a job search outcome, so it goes to active/job search. Monthly budget and the lease belong to continuing responsibilities, so they move to areas/finance and areas/home. A camera manual and writing prompts are useful reference, so they go to library. A completed client package and last year's tax draft are inactive but worth retaining, so they go to archive. Scan 0004 and an unfamiliar installer are unclear, so they go to review. Nothing is forced and nothing uncertain is deleted. Inside active. Use a project template only when a project has enough material to need one. 3 subfolders are usually enough. Inputs, working, and deliverables. Inputs hold source documents you received or collected. Working holds drafts and intermediate files. Deliverables holds the small set of things you would actually send, submit, or use. This structure answers a different question from the 5 homes, so it belongs one level lower. A Japan trip might instead use bookings, plans, and documents because those are more useful for that outcome. The template is a starting point, not a law. Create a subfolder when at least 3 related files needed. Otherwise, the folder adds more navigation than clarity. When a project ends, do not scatter its parts into separate category folders. Move the project as one unit from active to archive. The original relationship between inputs, decisions, and deliverables is often more valuable than a theoretically perfect global category. If the archive grows, add a year or area above completed projects, but keep the project itself intact. Search can now use 3 clues: the stable archive location, the project folder name, and the file name. This is also why the system is not a backup. Organization tells you where a file lives. Backup gives you another recoverable copy if that location fails. Keep important files backed up according to your own needs before moving or deleting anything. The system survives through one short weekly pass. Spend 2 minutes containing loose desktop files, 2 minutes containing useful downloads, and 3 minutes filing obvious inbox items. Spend 90 seconds moving finished projects to archive, 1 minute renaming high-value files, and the final 30 seconds parking uncertainty. Then stop at 10 minutes. 3 rules keep this small. Create a subfolder only when 3 related files need it. Move completed projects whole. Search before creating a new category with a similar name. The aim is not an empty inbox every week. The aim is a system whose disorder remains bounded, visible, and cheap to repair. First, do not build a folder for every noun in your life. Deep nesting makes saving slow and creates nearly identical paths. Second, do not mix active and finished material forever. The active folder should remain a short list of outcomes you can recognize at a glance. Third, do not turn a timed reset into a deletion sprint. Old installers, duplicate photos, and sensitive documents deserve their own review with the right context. The reset is successful when loose files are contained, obvious files have homes, and uncertainty has one visible queue. You are allowed to finish with items in to review. That is more honest and safer than hiding hard decisions inside a folder called miscellaneous. The whole method now fits on one screen. New or uncertain files enter inbox. Current outcomes live in active. Continuing responsibilities live in areas. Reusable knowledge lives in library. Finished work moves intact to archive. The one-question flow chooses the home. Searchable names preserve retrieval, and a 10-minute weekly reset keeps clutter bounded. You can build this yourself from the video. If you want to skip setup, the $3 digital file reset kit linked below includes the ready-made folder tree, the printable 20-minute checklist, the decision flow, naming examples, and the filled example we just used. Either way, start with one root folder, contain before you classify, and stop when the timer rings.